Hi, Rhian. What have the conversations with players been like over the last couple of days, and what's the general feeling that you get from them approaching this game?
They've been good. The players are ready. I think our very articulate senior players that were just here, they talked about the group and how they're feeling. They're excited. They feel like they've earned the right to be here. They know it's going to be a really tough game tomorrow. But my individual conversations and the general mood around the team are excitement and looking forward to a big performance tomorrow.
And I know that you prefer not to talk about yourself, and you've been asked similar versions of this question before, but this is your first year as a head coach, and you're at this point. For you, what do you think you have been able to do well in order to lead this team to this point?
I hope that I've tried my best to stay out of their way. I think I say it half jokingly, but if you've just heard two of our senior players speaking, this is a team with a lot of experience. Our young professionals that are learning the trade are learning through watching some of the best in the world that happen to be their teammates. I try my best to be very clear about instruction and to give them frameworks, but also not to overload them because they've done this before. These are women who've been in Olympic and World Cup finals. They've been on successful and highly functioning teams before, and you try your best to create an environment where that can come alive. And they had one last year, so my main job was to make sure that I was maintaining something that was already working and helping support it, making it even better.
We'll go here to Steve.
Rhian, how were you able, and how was the team able to navigate some of the difficult moments of the past few weeks and a couple months?
Well, unfortunately, they had a previous experience in it last year, and I don't think we can pretend it didn't. It's not a 2-year thing. It's blown up again, but I know that this is a group that last year could have easily come apart and actually, gone their individual ways, but chose as a team to come together to get even stronger through a lot of the adversity that was being focused on Portland. And that happened again this year. It was an opportunity for me to do my best to create an environment where everyone felt they could get support if they needed it, whatever that looked like, to offer soccer if that's what people needed, but also to offer time away or whatever they needed for a couple days, because I don't know everyone's history. I don't know everyone's trauma. So I need to recognize that I'm a soccer coach. I know it's an important role, but there are professionals in this world that I had to make sure were accessible to them, and I was really grateful for the club for making that happen very quickly for the group, and that the team themselves chose to really connect over this and to make sure that our connection as a team, as a group, got even stronger as a result of it.
Hi, is there anything from the last game with San Diego that was the biggest takeaway for the team?
Well, as a coach, probably the thing that made me the proudest was how they reacted to going a goal down. We know that having that many weeks off before a game is never the ideal situation, and I thought we started a little sluggishly. It was not a shock to us that an Alex Morgan to Korniak in the box goal, like, you can prepare all you want, but starting slow, conceding the goal, and then how they reacted to that. The team came together very quickly. They got back to process, and I really like the reaction to that. I think it really shows a lot of maturity, but a lot of belief in themselves. And that's what happens in a game. Goals are scored against the play or with the play. There's waves, there's momentum, and how they found their footing again and started to build through the game made me very proud, and really, I think, highlighted all the great work they've done all season to get themselves to that point.
Thank you.
We'll go Jackie, right next to Sam.
Thanks. Hi, Rhian, Jackie here with Women Kickballs. Christine and Crystal were talking about just how they find joy as players, which sounds like it includes a lot of dancing in the locker room, which is always a good thing. So just for you, how are you able to find that joy to just kind of set the tone for your players?
Yeah, I think Sinky and I probably have similar lack of music in our brains that we're players like Crystal that bring so much energy to the room, and we've got a couple of those. And as someone who's maybe a little bit quieter, I love that part, just watching people come alive in their personalities. And what gives me joy is seeing the team having fun. And joy has been our word. It's become our word through this. I think Kling talks about it a lot. And it is a game, but it's a game that means a lot to a lot of people. And for us to be able to do what we love, and for me to be able to help support these women and have their dreams hopefully coming true, and their careers grow and get better and better, it's a privilege. And we know we're lucky to do what we're doing. We know that it's important what we're doing in terms of leading the way. But we've got to remember it has to be fun. Otherwise, as I think Singh said, what's the point?
And just a quick follow-up too, just thinking about your first year with this team, and there's a lot to, I'm sure, just learn and adapt to as well. For you, just kind of what are you most proud of, if you can think of maybe a word or a certain kind of value that you've really seen just amplify from your squad?
Yeah, it is my first year. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I continue to, and I hope I don't hide from them. And I think it's a real testament to this group that they've allowed me to come in, and they were extremely successful last year and had a fantastic coach. They've allowed me to come in and try things. And I think that that's maybe not being spoken about enough, that a group with that much experience was willing to be like, okay, we'll try it with you. And some things worked and some things didn't, and they gave me that bandwidth. And there's something really special about that I don't think really has been spoken about enough, because they could so easily have just turned on me after one mistake, and then that would have been it. But instead, they gave me great feedback, which I welcome as long as it's done professionally and with courtesy. I think it has to be a conversation, and they've been brilliant all season, and I'm really proud of that.
We'll go over here to Dan.
Hey, Rhian, just back to the off-the-field stuff briefly. When things first went down last year and you were not part of the league in that moment, just wondering, A, what your perspective was from someone who, at least in that moment, was an outsider, and B, did you, after that, think twice about, maybe I don't want to be a head coach in this league, at least not right away?
Yeah, I'm Canadian, and I was working in England, and this is everywhere. And it's a horrible thing to say. This is not only about soccer. It's not about the NWSL. It's not just about women. It's everywhere, and it's a problem everywhere. So I think I say that all the time. It is an opportunity to come here to coach, I believe, one of the best clubs in the world, and to try and be world leaders in this. And I mean it. It's an opportunity. We have to see it as that. After 10 years, a lot hasn't gone well. A lot has been good. So how do we focus on the positives and push and demand more transparency, make sure that we get better and better as a league? Because I need to continue to state this. I've played in a lot of different countries. I've lived in a lot of different countries. It's everywhere. So people that are finger pointing at the NWSL, I'm glad they're holding us to standard, and we're gonna take that mantle and we're gonna lead the way and be best in practice. But it is not unique to the NWSL, and it did not scare me away from joining this league.
Go right behind you.
Thank you. And Sophia with Finder Football. My question is, the Portland Thorns are known for having great leaders both on and off the field. How has it been coaching the rookies, and what contributions would you like to speak about?
We've got some of the most exciting young talent in the U.S. on our team. Fact, and I don't have to. The gift that I have is that they've got Crystal Dunn's, Christine Sinclair's, Emily Menges, these senior professionals, Olympic medalists, World Cup medalists, who set the standard every day, who always do the little things. They always prepare for training. They always take care of their bodies. Nutrition comes first. They get their sleep. Well, Crystal did, but she used to be a mom. So how can you have a young talent complain or not do those things? It makes my job so easy, because sometimes there's some reminding, because they are still young people, but they get the best example every single day at training and during games, and that is they're so fortunate. I don't even think they realize it, because they're learning just best behaviors from what they see every day. And for me, it makes my life a lot easier, because I'm like, you can't say anything. Look at this, right next to you. I don't want to hear it. And it's created an environment where the team is professional the whole way across, whether it's training, preparing, or recovery, because they have examples of it.
Thank you.
We'll go to our junior reporter, Amber. Amber, in front. Yep.
So, hello, Coach Wilkinson. It has been an honor to meet you. Professional soccer teams are full of very talented players. I always wondered how each coach determined what their starting line is going to be. Is your approach based on how well a player plays, leadership, work ethic, or a combination of all of those things?
It's the hardest part of my job. The hardest part of my job is choosing the 11 people that get to start a game. And I think that there's a lot of ego involved with who gets to start. Everyone asks, who's your starting lineup? I try and be really clear that it's actually the people that come into a game that win you the game. And we're very lucky in Portland. I say it all the time. I think we've legitimately got 16 players who could start games, and any team in the league would be happy to have them. And choosing my lineup is a combination of the tactics that I want to use, as well as how players are performing. And absolutely I have to take into consideration leadership, because you always need to have some leadership on the field. But it's a fine balance, and it's not an easy thing to do. And I'm still learning and working on it, because it's very hard. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to the back.
Hey, Virginia with She Plays. My question, you mentioned where some things worked and some things didn't, and then talking about the tactics you want to use. Something I noticed a lot when looking at Portland throughout the season was the way that your formations were constantly changing. And I was wondering what the mindset is for that, and where the balance between something that players are used to and like versus something that you think is going to be tactically more sound.
Yeah, players are creatures of habit, and part of my philosophy is there's definitely always awareness of what I think the best tactics are for the opposition, but always keeping in mind that it's about us. And so what we want to do and how we want to play is always paramount. But there is some adjustment. I think that was the biggest probably difference between last year is partly how I use rotation, but also how I do change some of my formations. And that's what I mean about trusting me from the players. That's a big ask, and it wasn't always easy, and I know it was frustrating. But I don't believe in making the game black and white. I think these players are too good for that. It's the easy way out sometimes to just say, this is what you do every single time, but that is not the game. And it's what I love about the game. There's an element of chess to it, and you've got to try and figure out what the opposition is going to do, but you also can't lose time on that because you never know. So you make your best informed decision, and then you set your team out in the best way you think that they can take advantage of opposition weaknesses. And like I said, I've made a lot of mistakes this season, but I've learned a lot as well. And I think that the team is starting to enjoy it a little bit, but it's always going to be a battle between, like, you want to keep things exactly the same and you want to keep pushing their standards. Because I'll give an example. Sophia Smith could be the best player in the world by just doing what she's doing now, but I think she could blow every record out of the water by just making sure that her soccer education is continuing. I'm continuing to ask questions of her. I'm continuing to push her tactical understanding, and I think that's exciting for me, and it'll be for her soon when she realizes that.
Well, it's exciting for us to watch, so thank you.
Anyone else? We'll go here.
Hi, so I'm Natalie with Find Her Football, and I was just curious, as a former player yourself and being so close to the field all the time, is it tempting to join in with the players? Do you practice with them, ever play footy every once in a while?
No, they're so much better than me. Like, I think when I first retired, I did jump in when I was coaching straight away with as an assistant a couple times, and very quickly this game has left me behind, and thank goodness for that. I was never a very complicated player. A lot of yellow cards in my career. Trying to catch up with Crystal Dunn's. But I think what I like is just the standard of play and how quickly it's evolving and developing, and I'm nowhere near their ability anymore. I don't want to ruin their drills, so I stay out of it. It's really easy for me not to be on the field because I know the game has passed me by, and I kind of love that. I'm glad it hasn't stayed stagnant. If I still felt I could play, that'd be a real problem.
Awesome. Well, thank you, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else before we let Coach go? All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Good luck tomorrow.